Hi folks, Joe here from Gen 5 Runner. As soon as this airplane passes and you can hear me, I'm going to talk to you about some stuff. Yes, I am. I got some stuff to say, and I'm going to say it in just a minute. Try that again? Yep. Okay. Hi folks, Joe from Gen 5 Runner here. Today I'm going to show you how I make sourdough Navajo fry bread. The first time I ever had fry bread was on the Navajo reservation in, I think it was New Mexico, but it covers 3 states there, so I'm not positive which one we were in. At any rate, let's get started. The complete recipe will appear at the end of this video, so you don't need to worry about writing things down now. Begin by measuring 2 cups of all-purpose flour into a mixing bowl. You could also use bread flour, unbleached flour, whole wheat flour, whatever you wish. Next, make a depression or well in the center of your flour. Put 1 tablespoon of baking powder into the well. Make sure you break up any lumps that you see. To that, add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, again breaking up any lumps. Now whisk together the dry ingredients thoroughly. You could use a sifter for this to make sure you get all the lumps out, but I'm just not that OCD. Make another well in the center of the flour and add 1 tablespoon of canola oil. Measure out 1 cup of your Overland starter and pour that in the well. Whisk together the oil and starter and then begin incorporating the dry ingredients until you have a thick paste. Now it's time to go hands-on. Get in there and mix the dry ingredients together with the moist ingredients until you end up with a ragged dough. It's perfectly okay to add a little more Overland sourdough starter or water or flour if you need to get the dough to the right consistency. Once your dough is pulled together, turn it out onto your work surface along with any dry ingredients that remain in your bowl. Your dough will seem too dry at first, but as we knead it, you'll see it'll smooth out and come together nicely. My work surface is an aluminum folding table, and I have a plastic cutting mat, I would call it. It's very thin and lightweight for overlanding. Here's a trick. To keep it from moving as I'm kneading the dough, I put a wet paper towel under the mat, and that'll hold it in place. Kneading helps develop the gluten in the flour, which means it cross-links the proteins so that the flour becomes stretchy instead of breaking off. So it's very important that you knead it completely. Do this, I just push with the heel of my hand until I get it smashed out, fold it over, turn it 90 degrees, and then proceed to knead some more until the dough is pulled together and is smooth. Once it's smoothed out, I form it into a ball loosely. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to put it into our mixing bowl and let it rest for about 30 minutes. Once the dough is rested, knead it a couple of times to pull it together and then shape it in the form of a log. Cut that log into 4 to 6 pieces that you'll then prepare to roll out. As a teenager, I worked in a pizza restaurant where I learned this cool technique for rolling out dough in a circle. First, flatten the dough out and then use the fingers of your right hand to tuck the outside edge under. The fingers of your left hand then rotate the dough and pinch it to hold the new pieces in place. You end up with something that looks sort of like a mushroom cap, where the dough is all spun around and tucked underneath in the middle. This technique results in a smooth outer edge that won't split or be ragged when you roll it out. To roll out your dough, first flour your work surface, and then take your rolling pin and press the dough out away from you. Then turn it 90 degrees and do it again. Continue this process until the dough is the thickness that you want. In this case, usually about a 1/16 of an inch, something like a tortilla. You can buy a rolling pin like this at any hardware store. It's just 1.5 inch piece of PVC pipe that I've sanded just a little so that it has a surface that'll grip the dough a little more like wood. In accordance with Navajo tradition, I'm going to tear 3 or 4 holes in each piece of bread. This will release any evil that's in the food and let it fry a little better because the oil comes through the holes. Pour canola oil in a frying pan about 1/2 inch deep and begin preheating it for frying the dough. Test the temperature of your oil by putting a little pinch of dough in it to see how it cooks. For safety, carefully lay the dough in the oil from the front to the back. This will make sure none of the hot oil splashes up and burns you. Watch the outside edges of the bread to determine when it's time to turn it. Remember, you can always turn it back over, but you can't unburn it. Place your cooked fry bread on a plate or a pan lined with paper towels to soak up any excess grease. At this point, you could also sprinkle it with powdered sugar or maybe smear a dollop of jam or Nutella on it. Straight out of the fry pan, this bread is going to be crispy on the outside and deliciously light and fluffy on the inside. As your fry bread cools, it will soften up a little bit, making it easier to use for things like tacos. You can also use this recipe to make a flatbread by simply cooking it on a dry griddle. Try adding some herbs or spices to it. Well, there we have it, traditional Navajo fry bread. Crispy and delicious. Hi, I hope you enjoyed the recipe and that you'll try it. You can use fry bread like tacos or like pita bread, or you can use it for breakfast with a little syrup on it and some butter. It's delicious for anything that you use it for. As always, please remember, arrive safe and leave clean. Cheers!